When you hear Honda Motor Company, what comes to mind? Reliability? Safety and simplicity? A company that sells its products to more than 140 countries around the world? Maybe it's more sentimental, skipping school in Kyle's old Civic. That trusty Accordi you drove to Daytona for spring break '07. Or that amazing camping trip in the CRV before your ex-wife took it in the divorce. Rough. It's obvious that Honda is woven into the fabric of American car culture and has been for generations. Look at year-end sales numbers for the last 40 years and you'll find them at or near the top in nearly every single category. It's easy to say that they're just another international car company, but upon closer inspection, it's an entirely different story. One of an underdog who is decades late to the automotive game, only to make stunning breakthroughs in engineering and efficiency that shape the global auto landscapes that we know of today. Our question boils down to this. How the hell did a company that didn't build a car until 1963 ascend from the rubble of war-torn Japan and in less than 30 years rewrite the global automotive playbook? Today on Past Gas, we're going to learn about Honda's revolutionary breakthroughs and how their continued success can be traced back to their singular eccentric founder, a 4'11" visionary named Soichiro Honda. This is Past Gas.
Past Gas Podcast. It's about cars, it's not about forts.
Big thank you to our sponsor this week. You know what it is. It's Valvoline Motor Oil, longtime sponsor of the show. I love working with Valvoline Motor Oil. Why? Because Valvoline was the first motor oil brand, making them the original motor oil. Since their founding over 150 years ago, they've been innovating formulas ever since, including the first high mileage oil, the first racing oil, and the first synthetic blend oil. Valvoline is also the world's #1 supplier of battery fluids. That's right, offering tailored products to help extend vehicle range and efficiency. All Valvoline oils exceed industry standards to provide the ultimate protection for every engine on the road. Valvoline's new extended protection full synthetic motor oil is their best motor oil ever. Their newest formula offers the ultimate protection designed to extend the life of your engine. I've got Valvoline in my car, and you should too. So get Valvoline next time you change your oil. I know I'll be looking for that extended protection full synthetic. So thank you very much, Valvoline, for sponsoring this episode. Big thank you to our sponsor this week, Current. You know, the holidays are coming up, and this time of year it can be hard to keep track of spending. But luckily, Current is here to help you keep track of your money better with overdraft protection, spending insights, and a savings pod set up just for gifts. Current is the future of banking, where you can send, spend, save, and manage your money all from your phone. Current's app and connected debit card helps you get ahead by giving you faster access to paychecks, fewer fees, and more flexibility. With a Current premium account, members can get paid up to 2 days faster on direct deposits because banks hold your money for 48 hours or more. And there's no overdraft fees up to $100, which means no more anxiety about getting declined when you swipe. If you have a hard time keeping track of your spending, I think Current is a great solution to help you get back on track. For a limited time, we've partnered with Current to give away cash for the holidays. That's right, Current is giving away $200 to 10 podcast listeners in the month of December. All you have to do is download the Current app and enter code GAS during sign-up before December 31st for a chance to win. Remember, that's GAS during sign-up. Download the Current app, sign up in less than 2 minutes, and enter GAS for a chance to win $200. No purchase is necessary to win. Purchase won't increase chances of winning. Void where prohibited. Eligibility restrictions apply. Visit current.com/gas for full terms and conditions. Current is a financial technology company, not a bank. Banking services provided by and Visa debit card issued by Choice Financial Group, member FDIC. Pursuant to a license from Visa USA Incorporated and can be used anywhere Visa debit cards are accepted. Faster access to funds is based on comparison of traditional banking policies and deposit paper checks from employers and government agencies versus deposits made electronically. Direct deposit and earlier availability of funds is subject to payer support of the feature and timing of payers' funding. Overdrive is available only on current premium accounts. Please refer to overdrive features, terms, and conditions. Eligibility requirements apply.
He was 4'11".
Yeah, man. Do you ever see old stairs from places that are like 400 years old? The stairs are like toddler stairs.
When my family used to go to Wisconsin every summer, we would eat at this place that John Dillinger got in a shootout at.
That's like near the Dells, right?
Yeah, and they had one of his suits because he had to like leave really quickly because he was getting shot at.
Of course.
And his suit was so little.
Really? John Dillinger was a little guy?
Mm-hmm.
I guess when you got guns, you don't have to be a big guy.
Well, I'm just saying, I think back in the day, people were little.
Yeah. People were like malnourished up until like 1970.
Now we got hormones in our food.
Yeah.
We eat meat all injected up with steroids. We're giants. We'd rule back then, dude. You and me, they'd call us the Bash Brothers.
Move over, Jose Canseco.
Like if you and me went back in time to like the 40s, they'd be like, oh, those huge guys.
Yeah. If you took a football team, like an NFL team, and sent them back to 1901, they would rule.
They'd be like Captain America.
Kill everyone. Yeah.
Yeah.
Damn, dude.
We'll keep digging on that time machine. Welcome to Pass Gas, the car history podcast. I'm James Pumphrey, joined as always by Joe, not so slow, hardcore bro, Weber.
Damn, dude. You been hitting that rhyming dictionary again?
Yeah, dude. I've been feeding the old nog.
Well, you may not hear that velvety fog from Nolan Sykes this week because he's in the hospital. Oh, no, no, don't start that rumor. He's with his family. He's completely
in the
safe
hospital.
and
He's getting his hands enlarged.
He's already got pretty big mitts. That's going to be
that's what I told him, man. But he's got hand dysmorphia. He's always been self-conscious about his hands, so he's going to take the holiday and get his hands enlarged. So when he comes back, he's going to look like a Spike Jonze video.
Every Thanksgiving, he gets really insecure about his hand size because if his family makes him watch Scary Movie 2 with Chris Elliott and his little hand.
Yeah, and they're like, look, Nolan, that's you. That's you, Nolan.
And this year, he just decided to do something about it.
Yeah, so he's getting bones taken out of his legs and put into his fingers. Sweet. So he's going to be about 4'11", but he's going to have big old mitts. Anyway, so Nolan's in the hospital. We're going to be talking about Honda. Soichiro Honda has always been one of my favorite guys in automotive history, so I'm really looking forward to this,
That's cool. I don't know much about him. You've probably done an up to speed on Honda at least a couple times, right?
The episode of Up to Speed on the S2000 covers Soichiro pretty in depth. I don't want to spoil anything. I don't know if we're going to cover it in this, but at one point he just like quit making motorcycles and went to the woods and made whiskey.
What?
Yeah.
Whoa.
He just became like a bootlegger.
They also went from motorcycles to making F1 engines right away, right? That was like the jump.
I believe so. Or an F1 engine. I don't think it ever raced.
Okay. But they went from like the Isle of Man TT. And then they were like, oh, we should probably just make an F1 engine.
Yeah.
Also, it's crazy that Soichiro seems like I don't know Japanese culture that well, but it seems like a very unique name. And then you realize that the founder of Toyota also has a same first name, Soichiro Toyota.
It's like Matt.
Well, anyways, should we jump into it?
Yeah. Hondas are reliable, affordable, and fuel efficient. We love it. Great. But that's not exactly exciting fodder for us car nerds, now is it? So rather than give you a Sunday school lesson on the bland details that you might be expecting, we're going to talk about everything that led up to Honda's revolutionary entrance onto the automotive scene. And I mean this from the bottom of my heart. By the end of this episode, you might agree with me that Honda very well may be the most individual, rebellious, maverick, whatever you call it, car company in the world. I mean, they made the new Integra.
That was so bold of them.
So bold. Honda's corporate and I don't like making fun of cars. That's like kind of like one of my main things. And one of the main things about Donut is every car is cool. The new Integra is not cool. That is such a miss. And those guys screwed up.
I don't even really, people are like, it looks like an ILX. I haven't even Googled an ILX because it just looks like a Accord to me.
I've never wanted to kick a car in the nuts before.
You don't even like that little Integra decal they have on the side?
No, I want to bully that car. Honda's corporate and manufacturing philosophies are summarized in a set of principles called the Honda Way. They can be narrowed down into two categories, which can also describe the dichotomy of Soichiro Honda's brilliance: practicality and mentality. Practicality is in relation to Honda's obsession with development. They are an engineer's first car company and value the input of the guy in the garage as much as the suits in the office. And because of this, their manufacturing process is always focused on minimalism over waste and simplicity over complexity. And rather than a corporate stooge lurking around every corner, they have autonomous design, development, and manufacturing teams that are continuously accountable for one another.
So usually it's like engineers versus designers. Designers want this like unattainable, cool car, and the engineers always have to be like, that's not physically possible to do that.
Possible.
And so there's always a fight, but engineering first means they develop all the engineering. It's a good car, it's solid, and then they design it around it, which makes sense for the new Integra that design was an afterthought.
Yeah. Mentality is what drives the vision of the company. Honda always challenges the norm, especially when it comes to development. Making better machines is more important than hitting quotas, and their emphasis on quality is tied to the idea that a product can always get better. They embrace perpetual change, and as they put it, have unyielding cynicism about what is believed to be the truth.
That seems more negative than I would imagine.
Sounds like QAnon. We'll expand on how these bold ideals have been put into practice soon, but first, how did they originate?
When we say Soichiro Honda loved motors, we mean he loved them. In his rural hometown of Hamamatsu, he was always in the garage with his dad, but it wasn't cars he was working on. It was bicycles. And while two-wheelers would be a massive influence later in life, young Soichiro was eventually bored with their simplicity. That all changed in the 1910s when the preteen Honda saw a Ford Model T for the first time.
I could not understand how it moved under its own power.
He later reflected,
I found myself chasing it down the road as far as I could run. I leaned over a spot of oil on the ground and put my nose right up to it, rubbing my hands in the residue. From that moment on, I only had one fixed idea, and that was to invent machines and to get greasy with machine oil and lubricant. 100% did not ad-lib any of that.
That was a real quote from Soichiro Honda. That's pretty amazing.
Wanted to get greasy. See, I'm telling you, man, this guy is up there. He's cool.
Yeah. Honda dropped out of school at 15 and moved to Tokyo, where he looked for work on internal combustion engines. He got a job as an assistant at Art Shoka, where he got his first taste of auto manufacturing, impressing the crew so much that he became a riding mechanic at races.
A diploma is worth less than a movie ticket.
He boasted.
With the ticket, you can at least enter the movie house and spend an enjoyable evening. But a diploma is by no means a sure ticket to life. What I want is knowledge.
Man, every quote is pretty sick.
Bangers, dude. This guy spits bangers.
This guy knew what was up in the, 1910s?
He probably made those quotes later, though.
Yeah, when he was way smarter.
Yeah, he's not like 10.
Yeah, he's not like dipping his nose in oil anymore.
Yeah.
At the age of 21, Honda moved back to Hamamatsu and opened a small mechanic and development shop that would eventually become Honda Motor Company. It was here where he developed two important breakthroughs: cast iron wheel spokes for cars and bikes, and piston rings for cars. Two simple products with immediate demand because of the need for more reliable transportation across the developing country. Honda was incredibly dedicated to finding solutions for problems he came across. He struggled with piston ring quality consistency, so he enrolled in college to study metals. He also visited factories to better understand how the most reliable metals were produced. True to his philosophy, Honda never got his diploma. I love that that's like the hill that he dies on. I'll go to college, but I won't graduate. You can't make me graduate.
I'm going to drop out on the last day. I aced everything except for orientation. I refuse to go.
They nicknamed me So Acero.
I'm missing 1/2 credit.
If you've ever dreamed of having the chance to win awesome prizes like a DeLorean DMC or a 1968 Mercedes-Benz 280 SL Pagoda, or even going to space with Virgin Galactic, then you have to check out Eime's, the new way to give back to charity and have fun doing it. Here's how Eime works. You enter the chance to win something amazing, and at the same time you can donate to support great causes. It's a fun and easy way for nonprofits to raise money and for you to win big prizes, like a customized Jeep Wrangler. I've always wanted a Jeep Wrangler. I think it's such a cool lifestyle car. Want to take it on the dunes, want to take it on the freaking snow. Omaze is a great company. I can speak from my heart when I say that. We actually gave away a McLaren to a dude who won it. I think he was from Washington. He came to pick it up at Donut. He was super excited. Through your donations, Omaze has raised more than $150 million to support over 350 nonprofits around the world. That's amazing. So enter today for your chance to win the custom Jeep Wrangler or other life-changing prizes and experiences at omaze.com/gas. Plus, receive 20 extra entries when you enter the code GAS20. That's OMAZE.com/gas. Thanks, Omaze. Big thanks to Upstart for sponsoring this episode of Past Gas. If you're carrying a monthly credit card balance, you feel like you can't whittle it down, I feel for you. I've been in the same position. I'm actually still in that position right now. I got credit card debt that can feel unmanageable. Well, Upstart can help you make that final payment so you can finally get ahead and say goodbye to debt. Upstart is the fast and easy way to pay off your debt with a personal loan, all online. Whether it's paying off credit cards, consolidating high interest debt, or funding personal expenses, over 1 million people have used Upstart to get one fixed monthly payment with a clear payoff date. I think that's great. I think this is such a good service. Being in debt can feel like you're underwater and like you can't go up for air, and Upstart can really help you get out of that hole. So find out how Upstart can lower your monthly payments today when you go to upstart.com/gas. That's upstart.com/gas. Don't forget to use our URL to let them know we sent you. Loan amounts will be determined based on your credit, income, and certain other information provided in your loan application. Upstart.com/gas. Honda never got his diploma, but this research paid massive dividends because in 1941, Honda's reputation for quality and consistency was unmatched. He had 2,000 employees and his company, that's nuts. And his company was the #1 piston ring supplier for the largest car company in Japan, Toyota Motors. I know those guys.
I'll be the piston ring #1 supplier.
That's a lot of time spent in the garage and the classroom, but Soichiro was far from a choir boy. One side of his personality was akin to Richard Branson or Howard Hughes, one of those unique people who possess both a brilliantly creative mind and copious amounts of energy. This guy just didn't stop. He was an eccentric dresser, usually suited and booted in loud colors with a fedora topping his bald dome. But don't get it twisted. Honda was always willing to get his hands dirty. Sometimes with substances other than motor oil.
Uh-oh.
What does that mean? Coke? Cocaine?
Come.
There's a legendary story about Soichiro meeting with an elderly customer at a Tokyo bar when the gentleman accidentally dropped his dentures into the outhouse toilet. Oh God, dude. Why are you looking at your poop? How old are you? It didn't matter that he was a successful businessman. Honda went after the mouthpiece like a vet checking a pregnant cow.
I wanted to show a good example.
Honda later stated,
if you are a manager, if you are a top man of a corporation, you've got to lead others by showing good examples. Getting elbow deep in a bunch of doo-doo and pee-pee.
Would you do this for any of like Donut's clients? If we're trying to woo Aston Martin and the guy's toupee falls in like a chamber pot.
I'd laugh at him.
The guy who Wyclef Jean dropped.
Oh God, dude, I got invited to that.
You should have gone, man. That
I know in hindsight, I'll never see a CEO get paralyzed again.
Oh my God. I'm glad he's all right.
I don't think he is paralyzed. I'm glad he's all right. But
yeah,
dude, just don't pick people up. Like, haven't you seen TikTok? Just don't pick people up.
Yeah, I wonder if it was whose idea it was.
Just stay on the ground, dude.
Yeah, and no one ever looks at Wyclef Jean and they're like, I bet he can hold a person on his shoulders.
I bet he can lift me.
While singing.
Yeah, Shaq. I think about Shaq picking me up at least once a week.
I Googled that photo of Shaq holding Bill Gates at least once a week.
Yeah, I'd love to cuddle with Shaq.
in his giant Superman themed bed.
Yeah, I'd love it. I just want Shaq to like pick me up like a toddler.
I want him to crack my back.
Oh my God, that would rule.
Yeah.
Shaq, if you're listening, can you come crack our backs?
Please.
And then put me down for a nap?
I think one of the only people I would fish dentures out of a chamber pot is Shaq. That's the only person I would. Jackie Chan, maybe?
Jackie, oh, yeah, for sure. Jackie Chan, the treasure. Okay, Shaq, if you're listening, I will fish dentures out of doo-doo bucket if you crack my back and then carry me upstairs and place me into a man-sized crib and turn the lights on and close the door.
So he's holding you like a baby, like you're kind of over his shoulder. Is he burping you?
No, but I'm going to pretend. Oh, I'm going to be in the car.
Yeah.
And I fell asleep.
Hey, you're pretending though. You're not, you didn't actually
Yeah, I'm
fall
pretending because I just want Shaq to carry me.
Yeah.
He carries me upstairs and he puts me in my man-sized crib and turns on some like ambient music.
That sounds like a great Friday night.
And it's like cold and dark.
And you just hear him like eat a spicy chip downstairs and go, ooh.
Dude, I would pay so much money for that.
Yeah. When he wasn't elbow deep in sewage or on the cusp of engineering marvels, Honda was a party boy and thrill seeker. Okay. He raced his favorite Harley Davidson and had multiple high-speed car crashes, nearly dying in a 1936 race in the suburbs of Tokyo. That's nuts, dude. A Harley in Tokyo in 1936?
That's a flex.
Yeah. Despite these potentially exhausting distractions, his rebellious spirit and obsession with motors never wavered. When World War II ended, Honda was rich but restless. He wanted to roll the dice on something new, something truly his own, but didn't know what. He sold his piston ring business to Toyota and spent most of the next year making whiskey in his backyard garden in Hamamatsu. This is what you're talking about. He would just sit out there staring into space, sipping booze for hours at a time, which sounds like a great break from making piston rings, honestly.
Yeah.
His neighbors thought he was the laziest, craziest dude in the world. His wife, Soichi, it's kind of crazy. He kind of has the same name as his wife.
Mm.
His wife, Soichi, also became unimpressed with Honda, zoned out, meandering. And as fate would have it, her annoyance would lead to a discussion that would inspire Honda's most revolutionary concept yet.
It was October 1946, and because the country was still recovering from the war, cars in rural Japan were scarce. People had to bike everywhere, and it was custom for women to travel into town multiple times a week for food because in most homes, the man was working. However, as we've learned, that was not the case in the Honda household. Soichi finally had enough. She told Soichiro that she was sick of doing food runs while he sat on his ass, and he was going to take over. Honda really didn't like the idea of riding that bike every day, so he got to thinking. He knew of a factory in Hamamatsu that had an abandoned stockpile of generator engines used for powering wireless radios during the war. So after a few months of tinkering, Honda figured out a way to use these engines as auxiliary power for bicycles. And behold, a motorcycle for the common man. He began adapting the little two-cycle engines to run on turpentine.
Whoa.
And opened his own factory to develop the bike's frame. The first model was completed in 1949, the D-Type, a.k.a. Dream. The Dream wrote a lot of songs for Beyonce.
Yeah, he only really had like one hit album though, right?
Mm-hmm. It was an instant nationwide hit. This success gave Soichiro the freedom to further develop and manufacture more reliable and efficient machines, something he loved but was soon to become a serious problem. Despite the company's rising popularity, Honda was spreading himself thin. He deeply believed that success can be achieved only through repeated failure and introspection. In fact, success represents 1% of your work, which results only from 99% that is called failure. Wow. Inspiring words. But this obsession with R&D was straining the company's finances, so he begrudgingly admitted that he needed someone to help him raise more capital. An old acquaintance from his piston ring Toyota days introduced Honda to Takeo Fujisawa, an investor and former employee of another Toyota subsidiary. Fujisawa and Honda had an immediate connection. These guys were like Jordan and Pippen in the boardroom, mirror images of each other in many ways, polar opposites in others. Honda was loud and rebellious. Takio was soft-spoken and disciplined. Fujisawa was an accounting genius, while the only numbers Soichiro cared about were the ones scribbled on an engineer's notepad. The two men agreed on parameters. Honda had full control over development, and Fujisawa manned the books and marketing. The tandem was unstoppable. Fujisawa raised millions for Honda in the early 50s, which laid the foundation for Honda's foray into the mighty Western market.
How much would you pay for a bottle of his whiskey that he brewed in his backyard?
$100.
Yeah, me too. I'd probably just do like a shot of, or like a a little glass with ice, and be like, "Oh, that's pretty good."
Yeah, but I'd pay like $20 or $30 for a glass of it.
Yes, yeah, which is a lot to pay for whiskey, but
because also if I'm in a situation where I'm offered Soichiro Honda's whiskey,
yeah,
I'm probably not paying for it.
That's true. Yeah, it's probably like some finance bro that's like, "Do I got your attention now?"
Yeah. That's the situation where that would come up.
By 1959, Honda was the largest motorcycle maker in the world, but they didn't have the respect of other bike companies. Yes, they were light, cheap, and clever, but major motorcycle players like Harley-Davidson and BMW viewed Hondas more like little mopeds, and certainly not a threat to their dominance in the Western market's love of size and power.
Yeah, we love size. We're size queens.
We're size queens. You give us all the size and power we want.
I need it bigger and harder.
Electroglide, give it to me. All of this condescension motivated the relentlessly competitive Soichiro all the more. Racing still ran through his veins, and he was determined to prove that he could roll with the big boys. If you can't roll with the big dogs, get off the porch. I don't think that Soichiro Honda said that quote, but I'll attribute it to him. It took a year or two, but it happened in 1961 when Honda stunned the competition at the Isle of Man endurance race in England. The TT is we talked about the TT a couple episodes ago. I say a couple episodes because time doesn't exist anymore. That was like a year and a half ago. The first 5 bikes across the finish line were Hondas. That's pretty nuts for the first race. News of the shocking upset spread fast. England's Daily Mirror said Honda's engines
are the best in the world and walk like a fine watch.
On the heels of this global exposure, Honda and Fujisawa decided that now was the time to take the leap into automobiles. Skip to 1963. The last successful car company built on U.S. soil was Chrysler in 1925, and in Japan, Nissan and Toyota had both been running since the 1930s. So needless to say, there was an industry-wide skepticism about Honda's crossover from bikes to cars. Soichiro was consumed with producing the best automobile possible. Mr. Thunder, as his employees dubbed him. That's a badass name. What is Thunder Trueno or 11?
Trueno.
Mr. Trueno.
Trueno-san.
Trueno-san would micromanage the workers on the assembly line, sometimes melting down over the smallest quality issues.
Oh, that's not good.
No.
I've been very severe because we are selling things that can affect customers' lives. If a small thing like a bolt or a nut goes wrong, the customer's life is in jeopardy. That is why I regard even the tiniest bolt and nut as very important factors for the protection of our customers. As far as work is concerned, I never make any compromise.
This dude just is batting 1,000 with quotes.
Very quotable guy.
Despite Honda's noble obsession, Fujisawa knew something had to change within their corporate structure. Honda was spending far more time meeting with engineers and tinkering with design than he was managing the company. This came to a head when Honda and Fujisawa had an argument that would soon inspire the crown jewel of both their careers. Soichiro was dead set on figuring out a way to keep their car engines air-cooled just like his bikes, but this strategy was proving fruitless as his exhausted engineers insisted they try a fluid-cooled approach. Frustrated, Fujisawa pressed Honda to pick a lane, either be the company's president or be an engineer, but not both. Honda wisely chose the presidency, distancing himself from the factory floor for the first time and letting the engineers experiment outside his purview. Honda would later say his decision most likely saved the company during those initial automotive years, because as fate would have it, the engineers came up with the liquid-cooled CVCC engine, something that was about to shock the automotive world.
While American car companies were devastated by the early 70s double whammy of gas crisis and Clean Air Act, Honda, and the rest of Japan for that matter, knew it was their time to aggressively attack. Soichiro and Takeo were licking their chops. They already had a head start with their lighter and more fuel-efficient philosophy. Now they just needed to design the right car. Throughout the 60s, they had released a number of small trucks and compacts, but their bread and butter was still motorcycles. That changed in 1972 when the CVCC engine debuted in the Honda Civic. It got 39 miles per gallon on the road and 27 miles per gallon in the city, numbers that Detroit refused to believe. When a GM executive claimed that the Honda engines wouldn't be able to carry the weight of American models, Honda had a Chevy flown to Japan and outfitted with its Honda motor, which, of course, handled the chunky beast without a hitch. Dude, that's the first Honda swap.
Yeah.
Shouts to the Boosted Boys, 1972.
I've never had an engine that got that good of MPG, and this is their first engine they ever made in 1972.
Honda's numbers improved every single year in the 70s. In 1979, Honda was the first Japanese company to open a plant on U.S. soil. Their motorcycle operation near Columbus, Ohio was followed by an auto plant, with many more to come. In 1980, they sold 375,000 cars in the American market, which amounted to half of their overall automotive sales.
Well, this is about when Reagan was like, okay, we got to put a cap on these guys.
Yeah, okay. Turns out it's you got to pay that chicken tax. AIDS isn't real. Just as the groundbreaking Civic came out, Soichiro and Fujisawa, in their classic unconventional way, shocked the auto world again. As Honda Motor Company celebrated its 25th anniversary in October of 1973, both men announced that they were going to retire. We're half good each, Honda told the board of directors. We're like apprentice geishas who count as one geisha together. We wouldn't have made it if either of us weren't there. We're just applying the same logic to quitting. One goes, the other goes too.
That's amazing. That's a
All right.
like, can you imagine like the CEO of Ford stepping down and being like, I'm like a geisha, but half a geisha.
Yeah, my friend's the other half of the geisha.
A big thanks to Truebill for sponsoring this episode of Past Gas. There's so many subscription services nowadays, I can't even keep track of them. So don't let greedy corporations pocket your money. Download Truebill to take control of all your subscriptions. This is honestly a really cool app. It kind of consolidates everything so you don't pay for stuff that you don't consent to or forgot to cancel. I love Truebill. It helps me make smarter decisions with my money. I use Truebill and you should too. Truebill is the new app that helps you identify and stop paying for subscriptions you don't need, want, or simply forgot about, like me. On average, people save up to $720 a year with Truebill. Think about what you can do with $720. Don't fall for subscription scams. Start canceling today at Truebill.com/gas. Go right now, Truebill.com/gas. It could save you thousands a year. Truebill.com/gas. Thanks, Truebill.
All right, another thank you to our sponsor this week, Valvoline Motor Oil. You know what it is. They're the first motor oil brand, making them the original motor oil. But I want to talk to you about FlexFill. Valvoline, the #1 gear oil brand, has a new flexible pouch packaging that is super easy to use in tight spaces and produces less waste. Have you ever had to put oil into a rear end on a car? It kind of sucks when the big plastic bottle doesn't really fit back there. It's kind of a pain, but this makes it so much easier. The squeezable pouch allows for less waste and easier application. They've got 2 full synthetic grades, 75 weight 90 and 75 weight 140, available for exceptional high and low temperature protection. It's also got an extreme pressure additive for better load carrying capacity and wear protection. If you have to refill the oil on your rear end at some point soon, make sure you grab Valvoline Flex Fill. It's great stuff. Thank you very much, Valvoline, for sponsoring yet another episode of Past Gas. I love having your support. Very cool to work with such a cool brand as Valvoline. So get it for your car today.
Unlike the typical nepotism-fueled corporate culture of the States, Honda's new president was chosen from among the employees. This decision is a perfect example of their merit-driven corporate approach and set the tone for Honda's post-Soichiro influence.
Since his retirement, the ripple effect of Soichiro's renegade methodology has affected not only the company but the entire industry at large. As a result of Honda's dramatic rise, over the following few decades, the entire Western manufacturing process would change, as would the way the global automotive business was done. Honda continued to fill their management positions with engineers from within the company. True to Soichiro's anti-establishment views on higher education, the guys in the boardroom aren't just MBA-toting college boys who could be working at any corporation. Honda executives know their vehicles inside and out and have been with the company for years. It's a system designed to create mastery in the highest levels of the company. That's honestly how more companies should operate.
Yeah.
In his book, Driving Honda, author Jeffrey Rothfeder gives a perfect example of this unique management strategy. At a groundbreaking ceremony of Honda's plant in Lincoln, Alabama, rather than a standard shovel, the keynote speaker corporate rep decided to use a Honda mulcher to make the initial dig. A little bit corny, but pretty cool. However, when the moment arrived, the machine wouldn't start. Whoa, that's not good optics.
It's a bad look.
Bad look, dude. After several failed attempts, the suit himself hunkered down and tweaked the engine, then got her rolling. Okay, that's badass. Another example of Honda's, actually his boy Takeo Fujisawa's lasting vision, is in the way Honda continues to keep their departments clearly delineated. They believe that people work harder and more innovative if they are not forced. That's true. The same goes for the way the company handles promotions. They don't hinge on conveniently open positions, but on the personal achievements of the candidate. To the pride of Soichiro, Honda still obsesses over R&D. They even created a subsidiary for young innovators who can develop ideas without interference from senior-level corporate goons. That is honestly the best policy they could probably have. But I don't know how the Integra still made it past.
Yeah. I like Honda historically. As of late, not a lot of inspiring stuff going on.
It's true. In addition to its unique development mentality, the actual way Honda builds their cars has changed the game as well. Prior to the impact, the amount of waste at the American Big Three automakers was obscene. Not only were there literally tons of materials dumped and discarded during production, but the management structures were mired in inefficiency. At the time, because Detroit was selling their product, they didn't see the need to tweak their process. Honda, and actually Toyota too, changed all of that. When it became clear that Japanese companies were here to stay, American corporations finally decided to take a serious look at the manufacturing methods of their new rivals from across the pond. And the rest is history. From complete overhauls of assembly lines to wide-ranging adaptations of Honda corporate philosophy, Western companies were forever influenced by not only the ways they build their cars, but how they conceptualize the vehicles in the first place.
So how far have we come? A minute ago, we were figuring out how to put a radio motor on a bicycle, and now we're talking about changing the world. The Honda Motor Company was a tiny startup that managed to penetrate markets halfway around the globe in countries with radically different cultures and political systems. They didn't have the shareholders of GM, the legacy money of Ford, or the government bailout cash of Chrysler. Soichiro turned a little over $3,000 into a company that's worth over $200 billion today. Maybe the answer for our question at the start, how the hell did he do all of this, is actually an evolving one. like one of Soichiro's vats of backyard whiskey. It's a living thing, constantly changing, which we now know is how Honda liked it.
Well, that's a great way to tie it back.
Yeah. In 1980, I'm just riffing, man. In a 1986 article for Inc. magazine, that's INC, not the tattoo magazine.
Not the
Inked.
Kat Von D feature.
Joel Kotkin noted that maybe the reason Honda constantly has the pulse of the consumer is because the man himself never lost touch with ordinary people. I've never belonged to any secluded society, Honda said. I associate with anybody, rich, poor, doesn't make a difference. I prefer to have the principle of egalitarianism rather than a class distinction of people. Honda is boring? Get out of my face. Honda changed the world. Their corporate culture, manufacturing methods, and vision for the future were decades ahead of their heavily favored American competitors. This company may not have supercars or spaceships yet. They have a supercar. But they do have past gas's respect. And today we learned that they got it from the Einstein of Japan, the Henry Ford of Hamamatsu, the genius in a fedora, Soichiro Honda. Bow down.
Nice. I really like Soichiro Honda.
Dude, he's so cool. And then you remember all these cool quotes coming from a guy under 5 feet tall.
Yeah, I mean, that's
wearing like a big suit and a fedora. It's like if Hezbollah was like wise.
And not just like a fighting.
Not just like cheeseburger. If he was like, I have never belonged.
About Hezbollah.
If Hezbollah was like, I've never belonged to any secluded society. I associate with anybody, rich, poor, doesn't make a difference.
And then he puts on a fedora and rides away on a little penny board.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, he's wise. He's very wise. He seems to be very like self-aware.
Like I said at the top, man, that I've made a couple videos on him and I've done a fair amount of research into like his story, and he's one of my favorite dudes. Like
and his son started Spoon, right?
I believe so.
So a cool family,
them Hondas.
Yeah. His wife kicked him out and said, stop making whiskey. I don't want to go to the damn store anymore.
Go get a job. I'm not doing grocery shopping anymore. You can ride your dang bike. And he's like, you know what? I'm sick of pedaling. And then he turned it into a $200 billion business.
I don't know how a radio had a motor.
No, it's a generator motor to power like radios, like towers, I guess. So it's a little kerosene motor. Yeah. Like, you know, when we have a generator, we have the generator at the office to weld
because
with?
we don't have a power electric grid. Our office is in the middle of an oil field. Yeah.
So yeah, that was just like a little 4-cylinder diesel Isuzu motor. So this would just be like a smaller version of that.
Okay. Well, that was fun.
It was.
I honestly didn't even think of the fact that Nolan wasn't here the whole time.
No, I didn't miss him at all, but I hope his hands are big.
It's a very excruciating procedure. I wish him the best.
I wish him the best. I've seen the renders. I think he might be going too big.
The like surgeon's renders.
Yeah, it's not going to look natural.
Yeah.
I would have gone for like a more natural hand enlarging. I don't think he needs it at all.
No. He's got perfectly huge hands.
Perfectly huge hands, but he's going like full on.
Yeah.
Big old hands.
Yeah. He's going to be able to like cup a football, like touch his fingers on the other side.
Yeah. His goal is to be able to, you know, those like memory balls or like those concentration balls.
The
bells inside. He wants to be able to do that with basketballs.
No. No one's ever done that before.
Yep. That's Nolan. That's Nolan for you. Real trendsetter.
Well, thanks you guys for listening to the podcast. If you want to follow us on social media, follow James at James Pumphrey on all platforms. Follow me at Joji Weber. If you want to write to us and tell us how much you hate us or how much you love us or how much we should talk about a subject that you want to talk about, email us at passgas@donutmedia.com. You want to read this email from Vance from Anchorage, James?
A cool idea for a Past Gas episode, in my eyes, would be the collaborations from outdoor clothing companies and car companies. Eddie Bauer with Ford, LL Bean with Subaru, the North Face with Chevrolet. I didn't know North Face did something.
I didn't know that either.
Mainly taking place in the early 90s, mid-2000s was the awkward and odd collaborations with these companies. Take Chevy and the North Face. Ugly vehicles, the Avalanche and Trailblazer, dressed up with plastic outside and green and red interiors, and considered ugly then and now. My brother Jake and I, I'm Vance, have had this idea for a while, so putting it out there. Thank you, Vance.
Dude, thank you, Vance. That was a very eye-opening
I've always
email.
wondered about those too. There was also like a Nautica Grand Caravan.
Really?
Yeah.
I only knew about the Eddie Bauer Ford, like the Explorers and stuff. But I'd love to do a podcast on weird collaborations between car manufacturers and whatever. There's that like Gears of War Jeep collaboration, which makes a lot of sense. A lot of aggro energy in that.
There's a lot.
Anyways,
yeah.
Yeah. So if you have any suggestions like Vance, our boy Vance and his brother Jake in Anchorage, email us at passgas@donutmedia.com and take it easy. Till next time.
Toot toot, baby, baby, toot toot.